25 facts that will ruin your childhood. I mean, gosh, I wonder what we're going to see here. I'm hoping it's not going to be, like some kind of childhood actor that we all liked growing up. Like, I'm trying to think of who I watched growing up. Do you remember that show called, I'm trying to think of a TV show that I watched. Tracy Beaker here in the UK was really popular. Like, I'm hoping that the actor who played, whatever childhood show you grew up watching turned out to be like a horrible person. I'm hoping we're not going to see anything like that.
Do you remember those carefree days when your life was filled with nothing but cartoons, sugary snacks, and endless playtime?
Mm-hmm.
Well, brace yourself, because today I'm diving into 25 facts that might just ruin your childhood memories forever.
God.
From the dark history of beloved characters like Betty Boop, to a terrible Roadrunner theory, and even the contradictous truth about sugar, this list is packed with facts you probably never saw coming. Are you ready to see your childhood in a whole new light? I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 facts that'll ruin your childhood.
Let's go.
Sorry. 25. Was Lewis Carroll a Lewis Carroll, the genius behind Alice in Wonderland, has a pretty unsettling chapter in his story. A collection of photographs featuring young, including Alice Liddell, the real-life inspiration for his famous character, was discovered among his belongings after his death. While there is no solid proof that Carroll did anything wrong, the discovery has cast a terrible shadow over his legacy. 24.
Oh my God, that started off a lot stronger than I thought. I thought we were going to ease into them. Jesus. I mean, why would he have those photos? Like, why else would he have those photos, Ugh.
The truth about SpongeBob and his friends. I'm sure you never imagined the day would come when SpongeBob and his crew would be linked to nuclear fallout, but, well, here we are. There's a crazy fan theory that SpongeBob and his friends are the result of a nuclear event. And to make things interesting, the makers of the show have actually confirmed that Bikini Bottom is directly below the real-life Bikini Atoll, where the US conducted nuclear tests in the 40s and 50s.
Oh, come on.
So, for all we know, the radiation from these tests gave the weird sea creatures their unique personalities. And actually, now that I've heard it, it makes so much sense. 23.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, like, why can they all talk? I can see it.
Christopher Robin hated Winnie the Pooh. Before Disney made him famous, Winnie the Pooh was inspired by a very real boy named Christopher Robin Milne, the son of the author, and his toy bear, Winnie. It might seem idyllic, a father turning his son into a beloved character known by children everywhere, but it turned Christopher Robin's life upside down. He wasn't exactly a fan of the famous books, and after being teased at boarding school, he actually started to resent his connection to Pooh.
No way.
After serving in World War II, Christopher struggled with feelings of anger and disillusionment, and his relationship with his parents grew more distant over time. Wow. He even eventually sold his share of the Pooh royalties to set up a trust fund for his daughter and never looked back.
Oof.
22.
I mean, was that a smart decision? I mean, that share of the royalties probably ballooned, got a lot bigger as time went on. But I suppose if he hated it, he's probably glad to be rid of it.
The dark history of Betty Boop. Some of you might not be.
But why would you hate it's just a bear. What's the hate about it?
Too familiar with Betty Boop, the iconic cartoon character with big eyes, a squeaky voice, and a flirty personality. She was the face of the Jazz Age, capturing the carefree vibe of the 30s. But here's something not everyone knows. There's actually a pretty dark story behind her creation. The famous boo boop ba-doop catchphrase, that didn't just pop out of nowhere. It was actually inspired by a Harlem club singer named Esther Jones, better known as Baby Esther. Esther was a black woman whose unique style and voice laid the foundation for Betty Boop. But instead of getting the credit she deserved, a lighter-skinned performer ended up in the spotlight, leaving Esther in the shadows. 21.
That's a shame, yeah. I'm sure stuff like this probably happened quite a lot back in those days. Hopefully she was, later on at least given the credit for, the inspiration of the character, like properly acknowledged, maybe compensated. Probably not.
Judy from Family Matters became an adult actor. Oof. When Family Matters first aired on ABC in 1989 as part of the TGIF lineup, it was a very different show than the one most people remember. Originally a spin-off of Perfect Strangers, Family Matters featured an all-black cast that avoided a typical 80s stereotype and featured the Winslow family, Carl, a Chicago cop, his wife Harriet, and their 3 kids, Eddie, Laura, and Judy. People everywhere just loved it. But then something strange happened. Judy simply disappeared from the show, never to be mentioned again. The baffling decision upset fans and cast members alike, especially when it later came out that Judy was removed to make space for another character. Jamie Foxworth, the actress who played Judy, left acting and ended up doing adult films later in life. I will stand by that Carl is one of, if not the best television dads of all time. 20.
Man, I mean, it sounds like why? Because you don't usually go from mainstream acting to adult acting unless something goes horribly wrong. You know, the money in mainstream acting is obviously way, 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 way better, or at least I would think. Something must have happened, like mental breakdown maybe?
From Dark Lord to Elvis. This one's for the Harry Potter fans. Did you know that in France, Voldemort's middle name is Elvis?
What?
I know. The French translators of Harry Potter had to get creative to make the famous anagram, I am Lord Voldemort, work. So instead of Tom Marvolo Riddle, they turned the Dark Lord into Tom Elvis Jedusor. So when French fans say, Je suis Voldemort, it just magically fits. 19. David Yost
funny.
was bullied on set. Many fans of the iconic 90s kids show Power Rangers might not know that David Yost, who played the original Blue...
Man, Power Rangers. Who grew up... Well, I watched so many of the different versions. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Power Rangers in Space, Jungle Power Rangers. There was like, I think 10 different ones. Are they still going, Power Rangers?
Ranger is gay and a survivor of conversion therapy.
I love how they made the black guy the Black Ranger. I mean, come on.
Is gay and a survivor of conversion therapy. He has openly talked about his harrowing experience as Billy Cranston, including on-set bullying because of his sexuality. The bullying was, in fact, the biggest reason he decided to try out conversion therapy after leaving the show in 1996. In a candid 2018 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Yost revealed he decided to try out conversion therapy after leaving the show in 1996. In a candid 2018 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Yost revealed, I put myself through conversion therapy because I didn't want to be gay. Today, he's come to terms with his identity and receives a lot of heartfelt messages from his LGBTQ+ fans who are grateful for his honesty and bravery in sharing his story. 8.
Poor guy. You know, you got to be really sort of in a, bad space mentally to want to do that,
18. There's a horrible Roadrunner theory. There's a Looney Tunes fan theory that suggests Wile E. Coyote is trapped in purgatory/hell. Think about it. He's stuck in a barren, scorching landscape, endlessly chasing the Roadrunner, but never catching him, no matter how clever his plans. It's almost like he's being tormented for eternity, with his prize always just out of reach. Some fans actually compare his plight to that of Tantalus from Greek mythology, who was punished for all eternity in a hellish place where what he desired was always just beyond his grasp. 17.
That one kind of makes sense. I mean, even though, realistically, it's probably not the case, but yeah, to be chasing something and always being close but always failing, yeah, that would be a horrible, horrible version of hell to be in, just the constant chasing.
And since we're on the subject, have you heard the Rugrats theory?
No.
According to this one, all the main babies in the show are merely figments of Angelica's imagination. And it makes sense when you realize that Angelica is an only child with busy, inattentive parents. It would be so easy for her mind to take a dark turn. According to the theory, Chucky and his mom died, which explains why Chaz is so anxious. Phil and Lil, they were never born. Their parents terminated the pregnancy. And since Angelica didn't know the baby's gender, she imagined twins. Tommy was stillborn, leading to Stu obsessively making toys in the basement to cope.
Jeez, this is getting dark.
And Angelica, dreaming of a big family, conjured these kids to deal with her trauma. That is simply horrible, right?
Yeah.
16.
Mate, Rugrats, I used to watch so much of it as a kid. I still remember the theme tune. Dun 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 dun. Loved it. One of my favorite cartoons growing up.
Paul Reubens was arrested for indecent exposure. Pee-wee's Playhouse was a beloved children's TV series that aired from 1986 to 1990. In it, Paul Reubens played Pee-wee Herman, a childlike character who lived in a whimsical playhouse full of colorful characters. It was as innocent as you could get. And then in 1991, Paul Reubens was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult theater in Sarasota, Florida.
Come on.
The arrest triggered a media frenzy, and the bad publicity almost ended Reubens' career. Although he continued to work in film and TV, his public persona was never quite the same, and he passed away in 2023.
Jeez.
15. The Flintstones advertised...
Why is it the most innocent ones, or the most innocent looking ones, always end up doing something depraved? Like the Alice in Wonderland guy. Like, you would never suspect it, and it just turns out like that there's something wrong with him.
Cigarettes. Back in the 60s, advertising rules were pretty lax. And the Flintstones, which aired during prime time, wasn't just for kids. The characters were actually used to promote some surprising products, like cigarettes. One of the most controversial ads actually featured Fred and Barney casually enjoying Winston cigarettes. While it might seem shocking today, back then the health risks of smoking weren't as widely understood, so those types of ads were much more common. 14. The greedy origins of the Frisbee. Frisbees are a classic part of family fun everywhere in the world, from picnics to beach days, but their origins are actually quite interesting. Their backstory started in the late 19th century when the Frisbee Pie Company delivered pies in metal tins to colleges. Students, being students, discovered that these pie tins made fantastic flying discs. By 1948, a clever building inspector decided to improve the idea and came up with the first plastic Frisbee. He simply revamped the pie tin concept, slapped a new name on it, and sold it as a toy, in the process turning something mundane into a profitable product. 13.
Clever guy. I wonder how much he made from that. Probably, I mean, it depends on if he was able to patent it, right? Because if he couldn't patent it, I'm sure some toy company probably copied his idea. But yeah, probably made a decent amount.
The slap bracelet controversy. In 2011, a Florida school's fundraising event took an unanticipated turn when it ordered a bunch of knockoff slap bracelets and received bracelets filled with images of nudity. The school's parents and teachers were stunned, to say the least, but luckily for them, the original slap bracelet's inventor, Stuart Anders, heard of their predicament and quickly stepped up to save the day by supplying replacement wristbands. Although you do kind of have to wonder, who usually orders slap bracelets filled with nudity? 12. Heinz Easy Squirt. In 2000, Heinz launched a bold new line of ketchup in colors like green, pink, and blue.
Oh, God, who wants green ketchup? Like, ketchup has to be red. It just has to be.
Starting with blasting green for the Shrek movie. Kids everywhere went wild, and Heinz sales skyrocketed. But the excitement didn't last, and by the time the Shrek hype died down, subsequent shades like teal and pink failed to capture people's attention. To make things worse, these ketchups were far from the classic tomato sauce. To achieve the bright new colors, Heinz used artificial dyes and additives, changing both the taste and texture of the ketchup. Parents soon noticed and grew concerned about the health impact. As a result, Heinz's Easy Squirt line couldn't keep up and was pulled from the shelves.
I mean, who would buy green ketchup? I mean, there's clearly going to be bad stuff in there. Like, did you need like Heinz or research to come out saying that the ketchup wasn't good, like for you to not buy that for your kids? Or maybe I'm being a bit judgmental here. Green ketchup just doesn't look like a good idea, does it?
11. Your childhood home will always haunt you. In his 2011 book, Returning Home, Reconnecting with Our Childhoods, psychologist Jerry M. Berger explores why so many people feel a strong urge to revisit their childhood homes. His research revealed that about a third of the people he interviewed actually made the trip, while another third wished they could. And the weirdest thing is that this longing isn't just for those with happy childhood memories. Berger likens losing a childhood home to losing a leg. It's a profound loss. Our desire to return to our childhood homes isn't just about nostalgia, it's a deep-seated need that never truly fades. Whether our memories are good or bad, our childhood home continues to haunt us, drawing us back as we search for meaning in our lives.
Yeah, man. My childhood home, never forget it. It was in Hackney, it was a flat, but yeah, at the time it felt so big, but now it's, I know it just was quite a small place, but definitely your childhood home for sure holds a place in your heart, 100%.
Mine was torn down.
Oh no.
I'll see if I can find some pictures of my old home. 10. Willy Wonka double-dutied as a Quaker Oats ad. Did you know that the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was basically a giant ad for Quaker Oats?
No way.
Yeah. Quaker Oats funded the whole film to drum up excitement for their new Willy Wonka candies, like the Super Scrunch Bar and Peanut Butter Oompas. Unfortunately, kids weren't too excited about candy linked to a quirky fictional character. The candies didn't exactly take off, and Quaker Oats eventually sold the rights to Nestle. 9. There's actually no limit to the amount of sugar a child can enjoy.
What? Surely that's not true. We know that too much sugar is not good for you, like rots the teeth and stuff.
You might be surprised to learn that there's actually no limit to how much sugar kids can enjoy. Whether it's good for them is a whole other story. Unlike adults, a child's body responds to sugar differently. It's almost like they're built to love it. It even acts as a natural pain reliever for them. And while adults might find anything sweeter than a Coke way too much, kids have an endless capacity for it.
No way.
In fact, in one experiment, kids were given glasses of water mixed with increasing amounts of sugar and asked when it tasted too sweet. By the end, researchers were pouring sugar into the glasses so heavily that it wouldn't even dissolve, and the kids still thought it could use a little more sweetness.
That's crazy.
I might still be guilty of that. I add sugar to my sweet tea. There is nothing is too sweet for me, I'm sorry. Am I still just a kid?
To be fair, I love, if I could eat unlimited sugar without the health repercussions, I would. Because sweet stuff is the best. But, yeah, it's just, your blood sugar and all that boring stuff. It's just, it's not good for you.
Oh, no. 8. Coca-Cola, the wine alternative. Back in the 1880s, cocaine-infused beverages were all the rage among presidents, royals, and even the Pope. But they weren't sipping on Coke. Instead, they were drinking something called Vin Mariani, a wine laced with cocaine, marketed as a tonic that could boost strength and even help sickly children. In 1884, Atlanta chemist John Pemberton decided to jump on the trend with his own version, called Pemberton's French Wine Coca. But when Prohibition hit a year later, he had to rethink his recipe. The result? Coca-Cola, a fizzy, alcohol-free alternative that he marketed as the temperance drink and an intellectual beverage.
No way.
7. The Muppets were originally created for adult television. When Jim Henson and his future wife, Jane Neville, first introduced the Muppets in 1955, they were actually aimed at adults. Their show was called Sam and Friends and aired on WRC-TV in Washington, D.C. The Muppets only transitioned to children's television in the early 70s when Jim Henson created Sesame Street. 6. Candy canes were created to keep kids
crazy because, Sesame Street was like a legend, or still is a legendary kids, thing. Not Sesame Street, the Muppets was a legendary kids sort of entertainment franchise, but to think that it was meant to be for adults. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they shifted it to kids.
Quiet in church. Candy canes have been around for centuries, and today, about 1.76 billion are made in the US every year.
Wow.
Their origins date back to Germany, specifically Cologne Cathedral, and the winter of 1670. According to legend, the choir master of the cathedral handed out sugar sticks to keep the children quiet during services. And since it was Christmas, and some elders frowned upon sweet treats in church, he bent the ends of the sticks to resemble shepherd's crooks from the Nativity story. And here's an additional fun fact for you. The first candy canes were originally all white. The red stripes only appeared in the early 20th century.
No way.
5. The sexy truth behind graham crackers.
Now that is a sentence I never thought I'd ever read. Sexy and graham crackers.
Graham crackers have a surprisingly spicy history. Well, sort of. Named after their inventor, Sylvester Graham, these crackers were born out of his unique mix of dietary beliefs and moral teachings. You see, Graham, a Presbyterian minister, was passionate about the idea that food could influence our physical as well as our spiritual health. He even thought that certain foods could help curb sinful thoughts, especially those about sex. And lo and behold, even though they were bland and nutty, graham crackers quickly became a hit thanks to Sylvester Graham's devoted followers, who eagerly embraced the taste of virtue along with their favorite snack.
No way.
4. Beyond potatoes. When you're eating McDonald's fries, you should know you're ingesting so much more than just potatoes. They're cooked in a blend of oils, canola, soybean, and hydrogenated soybean, and then flavored with a natural beef flavor that actually comes from milk and wheat.
Really? I thought they were just straight up potato.
And to keep them crispy and fresh, they also include citric acid and dimethylpolysiloxane, a mouthful that helps reduce oil foaming and extend the oil's life. So, Well, they don't taste like cardboard for nothing. Hey, I like them.
Mate, I love McDonald's fries. For me, they're probably up there with the best fries you can get. I'd say it's McDonald's. Chick-fil-A fries are really good too.
3. The roller coaster was invented to save adults from temptation. Well, if it isn't crackers, it's roller coasters. LaMarcus Thompson, a devout Christian and the man behind the roller coaster, wasn't just trying to reinvent fun. In the late 1800s, he was disturbed by the proliferation of brothels and saloons, so he designed a more innocent thrill ride to steer people away from them. Inspired by a coal mining town's high-speed train rides, Thompson swapped his hosiery business for a chance to build a ride on Coney Island. And even though his coaster only hit a whopping 6 miles an hour, it was a massive hit. It kept people away from the area's more dubious attractions and set the stage for the global amusement park industry we have today. 2. Barney the Dinosaur's Backlash.
Yeah, I remember Barney. Oh my God, Barney was everywhere when I was a kid. Like, from the 90s. How long has Barney been a thing? Was it 80s? I feel like it was 90s it started.
Barney and Friends was everywhere in the early 90s and brought a purple T-Rex who championed love, kindness, and cleaning up after yourself right into our living rooms. Kids loved him, and people soon realized that Barney was here to stay. But not everyone was on Team Barney. A new Peacock docuseries, I Love You, You Hate Me, digs into the surprising backlash against everyone's favorite purple dinosaur. In the early 2000s, Barney became a cultural joke. Kids added edgy twists to his catchy theme song. Charles Barkley took a swing at him on Saturday Night Live, and wild rumors about Barney's dark side spread like wildfire. Even WJT
Barney's dark side? What dark side?
Mitchell from the University of Chicago noted that Barney faced more hostility than almost any other pop culture icon. Bob West, who voiced Barney from 1992 to 2000, even admitted to receiving death threats.
What?
Fun personal story. I know exactly where I was the very first time I saw Barney, because I was at my mom's sorority sister's house, and she asked, "Oh, do you guys want to see Barney?" It was her kids and I thought she meant Barney from the Flintstones. And I was like, yeah. And then there was a purple dinosaur, and I was very confused and was waiting for when Fred and Barney actually showed up. I was actually surprised. I was like, Barney got his own show? All right. It was not Barney Rubble. So, anyway, back to the list.
But is there actual controversy with Barney? Like, did Barney do anything? Did the actor do anything? Or is it just that people decided to start hating on Barney?
1. The truth about Monopoly. The game Monopoly was never intended to be a competitive property grab the way it is today. Elizabeth Magie invented the original Landlord's game in 1904 with 2 sets of rules. The monopolist rules encouraged ruthless property grabs and rent demands, while the prosperity rules were all about sharing the wealth, taxing property purchases, and helping everyone win by doubling the money of the least fortunate player. Maggie's goal was to use the game to show the flaws in capitalist property ownership and promote a fairer system. But when Parker Brothers bought the game's patent from Charles Darrow, who adapted Maggie's creation in 1932, they dropped the prosperity rules and turned it into the monopoly we know, focused solely on competitive capitalism.
Do you know that I've never actually played a game of Monopoly before? Isn't that crazy? We just never grew up playing it when I was a kid. We played Noughts and Crosses, we played Snap, we played Jenga, Scrabble sometimes, just never played Monopoly.
If Maggie could see it now, she'd probably be rolling in her grave. Figuratively, of course. And well, that's a wrap.
Fun video. I'm really curious about Barney though, because like I grew up I adored Barney. Like we had all the videos. I remember my dad like rewinding the VHS tapes. Some of my earliest memories involved like Barney. So, and Kitty Viddy. Do you remember Kitty Viddy? Did Barney do anything? Free Barney. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.